What's going on, guys? It's IcyRhythms. Welcome back. And in this video, we're going to talk about something that I wanted to talk about 2 or 3 days ago, but I've been a little bit more busy than I thought I was going to be, and sometimes life gets in the way. Sony E3 2018 conference. What am I expecting? What are my hopes? What are my dreams? Will there be any surprises? Well, let's get into it. Before we actually discuss some of Sony's games that we know are coming and maybe some of the possibilities, I think it's important that I think what I said about Microsoft can also be applied to Sony in a different way. We are so late in the generation that me personally, to have any surprises would be a real treat, a real delight, I guess, in a way, if Sony and Microsoft did have big surprises, because it's so late in the generation. But I think what I said about Microsoft, again, can also be applied to Sony, because the PS4 is still selling really well. Sony can sit comfortably and just keep releasing a lot of these AAA exclusives that they've already announced. I don't think we see any existing IP sequels that would be a huge deal, or a new IP from Sony's top talent announced this generation. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think they reserve anything truly awesome for PlayStation 5 development, or maybe in some cases like cross-gen titles, and we'll talk more about cross-gen in a moment. But I don't think there's going to be too many surprises with Sony or Microsoft this year. I think you could see some next year, and be careful about getting too excited for some of those games, because they might also end up being games for next generation that you can't play on your current Xbox or PlayStation 4. So we will see. Sony has confirmed that they're going to talk about a set handful of games, and one of those games, Death Stranding. This is a game that I would like to see gameplay for. Will we? I don't know. You know, Kojima's games oftentimes very cutscene heavy, and I've been talking a lot about that lately, and some of you know how I feel about cutscenes. It's not like they gross me out, or I'm disgusted, or I'm just completely tired of them. It's just I want to play more than I'm watching the cutscenes, right? I want to play the game more than I'm watching the game. A lot of these games have that problem, and sometimes the ratio isn't very good, watching versus playing, and that shit pisses me off. But I'm hoping that Kojima has something in the way of gameplay, and we don't have to wait any longer. Honestly, I don't even care if they really doctor the gameplay up and this is something they don't even really plan on having in the game, but just to get an idea of how the game will look and what their intentions are for how the game will actually play. Like, what is their vision? I don't want to see cutscenes anymore. So yeah, I think with Death Stranding you'll get that. And going back to games that are cross-gen, I think Death Stranding at the earliest is a 2020 title, probably even 2021, and I do think it'll be one of those cross-gen titles with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and obviously the PlayStation 5 version will be the superior version of that game. The Last of Us 2, right? I think a lot of people, along with myself, this is the one that we want to see most. You can argue that Naughty Dog is Sony's top dog, if you will, and they are the most talented team. Again, you can argue that, because there's an argument to be made for some of Sony's other studios, but Naughty Dog, for me, once people see this gameplay, a lot of people will be being like, man, look at those visuals, look at those graphics. I'll be talking about that too, but I'll also be talking about the attention to detail in the gameplay and what we're actually seeing from those gameplay moments, because the gameplay is important to me. I don't want to play The Last of Us 2 and feel like I'm watching more cutscenes or having control taken away from me than I am actually playing the game. I like The Last of Us. I think The Last of Us is a very good game, maybe even great, but I don't think it's the best game that Naughty Dog has made. I don't think it's the best game under Sony's exclusive IP belt. That's just my opinion. Maybe The Last of Us 2 can make me feel differently, but I am excited. I'm excited. I do want to see it, and we will be talking more about The Last of Us 2. I can guarantee you that. We also know that they're going to talk more about Days Gone, and I am somewhat excited. I do want that game to end up being a more polished experience than what we've seen very recently. I know that they say it's alpha gameplay and, you know, take this for what it is right now. I would guess it'll be a lot more polished on release. I don't think Sony would allow that game to come out or give the budget that they've likely given to that game and then have it come out and just be, you know, filled with bugs and other issues. I can't see that happening. So I am looking forward to seeing more gameplay, but for this E3 presentation, I would also guess that it will be doctored up and just probably more polished than the actual game will be. I guess that remains to be seen, but I don't know. I'm not expecting too much. I think along with Spider-Man, and I guess we can just apply this to Spider-Man as well, and I won't say anything else about Spider-Man. Along with Spider-Man, I've seen enough of Days Gone now and Spider-Man where I don't really feel the need to see it anymore. Just let the game come out, and if it ends up being awesome, then it ends up being awesome. I mean, right now, I would say if there was one game that looked more polished than the others, Spider-Man definitely looks a lot more polished and of a much higher quality. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not the biggest Spider-Man guy as far as, you know, comic stuff goes. I was always more of a Batman guy. Spider-Man's cool, don't get me wrong, but if there was a Marvel game that could be made tomorrow, I don't know what studio I'd put on it. I'd really have to think hard about that. There's a lot of studios that I'd want to put on it. But I would like a Captain America game, you know, or like, he's not my favorite, but like a really awesome Iron Man game where you could fly around in a big city or just a huge open area of some kind. I mean, that would be awesome. You know, Spider-Man, you know, like, it's just, he doesn't feel played out, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest Spider-Man guy. I was never dying to watch any of the movies or anything. Didn't read too many of the comics. He's a cool character, man, but I want to see someone else get some shine in these games. So we'll see what happens. You know, and I think those are the games that they plan on discussing. I can't remember the name of the game that I think Sucker Punch is developing. It's something like you're a ninja or a samurai or something. It seems like that could be cool. That could be cool. That game will probably end up being very violent and over the top gore, just like blood everywhere. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it could get crazy with that game. I am excited. I think out of all of the games, you know, I'm not saying it's going to end up being the best game when it finally comes out, but out of all of the games that we know that they're going to show, that one I think is the more interesting of the bunch because we don't really know much. We don't really have, you know, any gameplay or anything, so I'm looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to that as well. You know, surprises, you know, big reveals that maybe we didn't see coming. I mean, I guess there's a chance that stuff like Devil May Cry 5 or Resident Evil 2 are shown on Sony's stage, even if they're just trailers with no gameplay. I would like to see gameplay for both games, especially Resident Evil 2, but I don't know how far along for sure with absolute certainty, how far along in the development process they are with Resident Evil 2 and surely not with Devil May Cry. I mean, as far as we know, Devil May Cry 5 is like, I don't know, you know, been in development maybe a year and a half. We don't know. We really don't know, but I've heard rumors that the game was in early stages of development as early as like late 2013, early 2014 or something. I don't know. I can't say for sure. So, you know, those two maybe. All right, listen. I don't want to hype myself up too much. I don't want to hype you guys up too much. But if Sony were to resurrect Twisted Metal again and put like a studio that just we didn't see coming on that. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. You know, though, to be fair, to be completely honest, in my heart of hearts, something tells me that Twisted Metal is probably dead for a long time to come, at least another 2 or 3 years. But this is one of those things where you would like to be wrong. You would like to be wrong about that. People don't know, but some of you do. If you've watched my content for a long, long time, you know that Twisted Metal holds a special place in that gaming heart because it was the first Sony exclusive that I ever played, and man, like, just wow, what a game. Like, what an experience. Twisted Metal 2 is probably my favorite, but you can't take anything away from the original because without the original, we wouldn't have got the sequels. And of course, there were other games that, you know, tried to compete, but like it was never Twisted Metal. It never quite felt the same as Twisted Metal or as awesome. And I would love for a top studio that Sony has to bring that back and, you know, just do really great things with the writing and the stories, the characters, and of course the gameplay, you know. But I just, you know, so much fun from those games. I would like to see it make a comeback, right? Car Combat needs to make a comeback, and, you know, I think the game that I would like to see do that the most is Twisted Metal. The last one that they released, I don't know what happened there, but I don't think it did as well as Sony probably thought that it would. David Jaffe, you know, people were really excited to see him at that one E3. Comes out, you know, Twisted Metal, but it never felt the same, you know. Maybe those days are gone. Maybe, you know, games like Twisted Metal can't come back in a big way, and it would have to be on like a much smaller scale with a much smaller budget or something. But I'd still like to see a return, you know. Like, I want it to be special. I want it to feel as special as those older games, but maybe it can't. Maybe it can't. Maybe it as far as Twisted Metal goes, I'm living in the past. But I don't know, guys. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be too many surprises, but we will see. We will see. And sometimes you don't want to say too much. Like, you almost want to be wrong about things, your predictions, and any surprises that these companies would have, because then when you're wrong, you're like, oh man, I can't believe this, you know? So rumor is now that Rocksteady is about to announce a Superman game, but that's been rumored for a long time. They were also supposed to be working on a co-op story-based open world Ninja Turtle game. That also never happened either. So the Superman thing's been going around for a long time. I think people just want it to be going around because it's Superman and they made really awesome Batman games. I'd like to see how they would do it. I want to see if they can pull it off. We've never had an amazing Superman game. Definitely nothing close to the Batman Arkham game. So maybe something like that could be revealed on Sony's stage. It wouldn't be exclusive, but you know, just to have that on your stage is something nice. Final Fantasy VII, you know, I think we get some gameplay for that. I think we get some more gameplay from that, and maybe even Kingdom Hearts 3. So we will see. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Sony predictions down in the comments section. You guys take care. Have a good night. Peace.